Hello, and welcome to a new episode of Dear Diary, the Self-Love Podcast. This episode is going to be all about you, baby. Choosing you over and over and over again until it becomes the most natural experience and way of life, and you don't choose anything else but you anymore. So, sit back, relax, listen, and soak in these words into your soul. And I hope you can walk away feeling empowered, like choosing you actually seems like a doable thing. Like it feels like I could do that. It feels like a fuck yes. And then if you like this episode, go share it over in your stories, take a screenshot, tag me, share the love, because I'm sure more people need to feel into what would it feel like if you could choose you. So let's get into it. I'm navigating a season of heaviness and big decisions and scary things and fear and all the things, right? And when we do things like that, or just even in general, as moms, as busy women, as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as humans in the world in 2022, it's hard sometimes to choose us. There's a lot of things to do. We wear a lot of hats. There's a lot of plates up in the air, spinning around us. Like, it's hard sometimes to choose us. But I'm here to remind you and give you permission, if you need it, that choosing you is one of the best fucking things that you could ever do in your entire life. It is like the core of everything. I have a recorded masterclass called Coming Back Home. Coming back home to you. Choosing you over everything else. And so that's what I want to talk about today. And before I get into it, I'm going to take you through a couple of breaths. So if you're driving, just breathe. You don't need to close your eyes. But if you're able to, close your eyes for just a minute and take the biggest breath that you've taken all day. And another. And I want you to get honest with yourself right now and answer this question. Are you choosing you? Are you making your needs, your wants, your desires a priority? Do you wake up feeling joy and intention and alive inside of your gut? Or do you wake up stressed and anxious and frazzled by the things that you need to do because it just feels like too much? Are you saying yes to things that feel good and no to things that don't? Or are you piling more on your plate when it doesn't feel good and you've had too much and you don't want to do these things? Are you having guilt for choosing you when you do choose you? Like there's not enough hours in the day and you get what's left, and sometimes that's nothing at all. Are you like grasping for air at the end of the day when all of the things are done but there's still more to do, that you don't take the time out to take care of your wants and needs? So you go to bed way too late and undernourished and not fulfilled? Are you allowing people to cross your boundaries and drain your energy and take from you? Are you a mother that loves your kids unconditionally and would do anything for them but you won't do anything for yourself? Just ask yourself these questions, right? We're just getting curious right now. There's no blame. There's no shame. There's no judgment, right? We're just getting curious. What is the relationship that you have with yourself? What do you tell yourself when you look in the mirror? Because I've noticed, and it's a theme everywhere I go, that on this self-love and growth and healing journey, you got to be your own best friend. You got to be your biggest cheerleader. Because at the end of the day, it's you against you. Right? Like, you're always here. You're stuck with yourself, girl. You might as well have a good relationship with her. It's you and you all day, every day, doing the things, checking the boxes, wearing the hats, juggling the plates, taking care of the family, putting on your superwoman cape and taking it off at night. It's you. So if you're not choosing you, then what the fuck are you doing? Are you working against you? Are you making it harder for yourself? Are you continuously getting in your own way? Are you diminishing your power and your life force inside of you? Again, no judgment. Just questions. We're just getting curious. Because here's the thing. When you do start to choose you, and I mean at every opportunity you can, that's when even the hardest of days, it feels really manageable. Dare I say easy, right? And that's the hardest of days. The best of days feel like you could fucking do anything. The feeling of empowerment behind those best days where you just get it all right and you're your best friend and your biggest cheerleader and you're just like unfucking stoppable. Those are the best days. Those are what ignites your soul and like fuel into your purpose and what you're here to do and who you're here to be. But on the worst of the days, because there's a lot of them, right? This world is hard. We're all struggling in some way or another to do and be who we want and what we want. And we don't all have these easy breezy days every day. So on those days where it is hard, choosing you is everything. So now, let's come back and recenter again and take a deep breath. And another. And now, let's get curious about what it would look like if you did choose you. What would that feel like? What would that look like? How could you choose you? I'll tell you how I choose me. And if it fits for you, it's yours. If it doesn't fit for you, find something that does, right? But this is what works for me. I do not like to get up early. I fucking hate it. I love sleep. I love sleep so much. But I get up early. I make sure I get up early. I get up an hour earlier than Brennan. And now that he's back in school, that looks like 5:30. And that's fucking early. And I hate it. And this morning, I hit snooze twice. And It was like 5:40 when I got up, and it was fine, but I still didn't want to get up, but I did it anyway, because that hour in the morning, that's me choosing me. That's me setting the tone for the day, setting my intention for the day, breathing for the day, meditating and journaling for the day. It doesn't have to look like that for you, but like, especially moms. Oh my God, I'm talking to you moms right now. A lot of this, I feel like, you can still listen to this podcast if you're not a mom, but if you're a mom, listen up right now. You need to get up earlier than your kids. That's it. That's it. You just do. I don't care if you're like, if you disagree with me right now, I call your bluff. I really do call your bluff. There is nothing more awful than getting up after your kids or rushing around to get your kids ready while you're getting yourself ready, and you haven't started your day intentionally, and you haven't had your beverage of choice in the morning in peace, and like starting your day off without chaos, right? Because as soon as the kids get up, especially on school days, it's chaos. Even on the easiest of days, there's still some sort of chaos going on, right? It's a lot. You got to get up earlier than your kids. It doesn't have to be an hour. You don't have to get up at 5:30. Maybe that means you got to get up at 4, right? Do your kids go to before care or something? Maybe you got to get up at 4. What would happen? What if it was just 15 minutes? Choose you, right? Choose you. So that's a really important one. And I ebb and flow in and out of that. You don't have to do that every day. You give yourself grace on all of these things, right? If there's a day where you're in bed and you're like, no, my body needs sleep, well, then choose you and honor that sleep, right? That's still choosing you. But if you're just getting up late every day and like rushing around, and you're not giving yourself that intentional time with yourself because you just don't feel like it, or it feels like the harder thing to do, it is the harder thing to do at first until it becomes a habit. And now my body naturally wakes up. And I get right up out of bed and I go breathe, and it's the most amazing feeling in the whole world to just have that hour of quiet and contemplation where I can go inward. And my day is so much better because of it, right? Choose you. Maybe that looks like, for me, it looks like eating healthy, right? Meal prepping, not grabbing the fastest, quickest thing, right? Like being intentional about what I feed my body and the amount of water that I drink, right? Like just being intentional about that. That's me choosing me. Maybe that looks like going to the gym for you. Maybe that looks like walking and having a routine. Maybe you do that in the morning, right? You know what it also looks like for me? And this is a big one. Choosing me looks like if I don't have the mental capacity to clean my house or have my dishes clean and out of the sink, then I don't worry about it. I don't stress over it. I don't force myself to go to bed at night with an immaculate kitchen and an empty sink and clean counters and folded and put away laundry and fluffed pillows on the couch if my mental health says I need to go to bed early, or I need to do a self-care routine, or I need to take a bath, or I need to watch a movie, or I need to snuggle with my loved ones, right? Choose you. I recorded recently an episode called It's My Self-Love Check-In, and that's me choosing me. Just checking in with yourself, seeing where you're at, seeing what's alive inside of your soul, seeing where can you honor yourself right here, right now, right? Today, I knew I wanted to record some podcast episodes because I feel this like, ooh, this fire in my belly. And I'm like, okay, if I would have went home and done the things that I need to do because my house is a freaking mess, right? If I would have gone home and like done the busy work and the chores, there would have been a little like resentment behind that. Like this is not really what I want to be doing right now. And so I chose me, and I hopped in the car and I came to the water, and I'm sitting in my car, and I'm recording podcast episodes because it's fucking what feels good now. I'm honoring what feels good. I'm saying yes to what feels good and no to the things that don't. That's how I choose me, right? If you're in a shitty situation or a shitty relationship or just a season right now that is less than desirable, what would happen if you put yourself in this protective little bubble and chose to honor your energy and elevate it in a way that feels good, right? If you could choose to vibrate at a higher frequency, even during the hardest of times, just by doing whatever brings you joy. For me, it looks like my self-care routines. For me, joy is journaling and meditating and breathing and working on myself. That is my joy. Like, I call myself the self-love guru for a fucking reason. I live, eat, and breathe this. You don't have to. You don't have to be the same, right? But, like, that is my joy. You find your joy. And what if you could just honor that, whatever your joy is, at any moment, but especially during the hard times? Is this making sense? I hope so. Because choosing you can look like so much. And so maybe you break out your journal or a notepad after you listen to this and find out what are all the ways in which you could choose you. Maybe it's saying no to things that you've been saying yes to that are draining the fucking life out of you. Maybe it's saying yes to more things that you say no to. Maybe it's asking for help, right? We think we can do it all because we are freaking super women. Yes, we are. We are. We're warriors. We are remarkable walks of life. But we don't need to do it all. We don't need to carry it all. Ask for help. It's okay to ask for help, right? And maybe you're like, I don't have help. I bet you do. I bet you do, and you don't even know it. You're just so used to doing it all on your own that you're not even aware that you have people that would love to support you. Maybe you're just so used to doing everything on your own that it just feels natural. What would it feel like to do one less thing? Right? I also recorded an episode last week that talks about, no, it wasn't an episode, I'm sorry. It was a reel on Instagram where I talked about making more intentional to-do lists. That's choosing me. I get to choose me in the morning, and I get to really, they're not to-do lists for me anymore. They're get-to lists. I get to do these things. And then I took it a step further, and my list looks like now I have two lists. I have one that says, how can I honor myself? And then the other list is, what's going to move me forward? So one's more of like a gentle, what do I need in the moment, more self-care type of list. And then the other one is more action steps, right? With tangible results that I'll see effort moving the needle forward if I do these things, right? And so on my how can I honor myself list, it's just a running list that I'm constantly like taking things off and adding new things. Some things always stay, right? Like breathe, journal, meditate. Those are always things that stay. Going outside and getting with nature, saying no to something, saying yes to something, listening to a podcast, getting into the kitchen because I enjoy cooking. That fuels my soul. Like going into the kitchen and intentionally like making a meal with love, putting intention into my food. That's so important for me. And I really feel like before when I was speaking about how I intentionally feed my body, I do that with love. I used to make dinner And it would be like, I would be resentful that I was the only one ever cooking, and I'd be stressed out while I was doing it, and I was just trying to like go through the motions to get the meal done, and it didn't taste the same. Right now, when I'm in the kitchen, it's my time. I take my time. It's not rushed. It's intentional. It feels good. It's like a routine, a ritual, right? It's not something forced. It's something fun. And if I don't feel like doing that, well, then I don't. We have leftovers. We have takeout. We have, I'm constantly keeping leftovers and freezing them. We'll heat up some leftovers, right? If I don't feel like that feels good, I choose me and I make it easy for me, right? So what would you put on your how can I honor myself list? Like, what would feel good that you could honor yourself and do? Use that list. And yes, there are chores on these lists, right? Like laundry, dishes, house cleaning, running errands, doing this, doing that. Like, those are still on that list. But it's not a list of like, here's all the things that you need to do. No, here's all the things that you get to do. Now pick which one feels good. Pick which one is going to feel the most satisfying when you can cross it off. Pick the one that's going to make your soul like light up, right? And then on the other list, what's going to move me forward? What are some action steps that I can take towards reaching my dreams? Growing my business, growing myself, right? Recording a podcast episode, planning content, creating content. That's more of like a creative, productive space, right? Maybe it's going outside and taking Brennan somewhere and just taking a bunch of pictures so that I have pictures to post and make reels with and make content with, right? What would that look like for you? What would push your needle forward? What would give you that next step? Try making your to-do list like that instead of just checking the boxes over and over and over again, where you feel like, ugh, this freaking list, this dreaded list. Make your list more fun, right? That's choosing you when you intentionally make those lists. Maybe it's setting a boundary. This is a really big one. We talked about boundaries too. Setting a boundary, an internal boundary or an external boundary. You need to set more boundaries. I guarantee you, if you haven't listened to that episode, go listen to that episode. So important. So important. That is choosing you. Not allowing somebody to take your energy, drain your energy, and deplete your energy. That would be choosing you. Set a boundary. Maybe you don't go around those people anymore. Maybe you don't say yes to those family functions anymore. Maybe you have difficult conversations with your partners around this topic. Maybe you have conversations with your children. There is nothing more remarkable about being a mother and being able to share with her children what it would look like to choose you. Choose them. They need to know this stuff. We weren't taught this stuff, but we can teach them, right? We can break that cycle of being the busy people and instead operating from a much more empowered place where you actually feel good about the things that you're doing and you're choosing you in the process. If you started to do this and you started to make it a habit, you would probably show up as a much more calm, centered, grounded, patient, and loving mother, partner, wife, daughter, son, whoever, right? Choose you. What would it look like to start choosing you more? Maybe that looks like you're in a really hard season and you just give yourself a little extra grace, a little extra compassion, a little extra self-love. Choose you. What would that look like? And I hope that after you listen to this episode, you start thinking about it more, right? Just getting curious about it more. When you notice yourself doing something and you're feeling that like, ugh, in the pits of your stomach? What would happen if you chose you in that situation? What would you need to do? I empower you to start choosing you more because you're worth it and because your life would be a lot easier if you did, despite what you think. You'd have more time in your day, despite thinking, oh, I don't have time to set aside to choose me. I'm busy. I bet if you found that 15 minutes, the rest of your day would go so much more smooth and so much easier that you'd have extra hours at the end of the day to, again, choose you. What if, right? What would happen if you chose you? So, take a screenshot of this episode, tag me, and I want you to tell me, how are you going to choose you? I'm curious. What does it look like for you? Because it's going to look different for everyone. But I'm excited, and I can't wait to see your tags. And I love you, and thank you for listening to this episode of Dear Diary, the Self-Love Podcast. I will see you guys soon. Take care.